St. Thomas they gathered round, Coptic Church where we was found. He lead Jamaica telling the tale, history where the truth prevails.
How did a religious organization originally devoted to spiritual practices become entangled in massive marijuana trafficking? Have you ever heard about the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church and its scandalous history in Jamaica? We'll get into that.
Now, I just want to let everyone know that the information presented in this video about the Coptic Church in St. Thomas is based on sources that have been suppressed by the Jamaican government, both in a written form and on the internet. So due to the sensitive nature of this content, there is a possibility that this video may not be monetized or may be removed from YouTube. Alright, now we'll get to the video.
In the lush green hills of St. Thomas, Jamaica, the story of the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church unfolds like a gripping drama, steeped in mysticism and controversy. To many, this church was a beacon of spiritual enlightenment, a bridge between the Caribbean island and Ethiopia, the sacred land of Emperor Haile Selassie. Yet, beneath this veneer of reverence lay a darker narrative, one of massive herb trafficking, political manipulation, and a complex web of religious devotion intertwined with criminal enterprise. This is the tale of the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church, a saga that spans from its modest beginnings in St. Thomas, Jamaica, to a high-profile DEA investigation in the United States, leading to its dramatic downfall, leaving a legacy that continues to haunt Jamaica's history. So in this video, we will explore the church's rise to prominence, uncover the extent of their smuggling operations, and examine how their spiritual practices intertwined with their illegal activities. And we will also investigate the key players, the legal battles that ensued, and the impact of their actions on both the local and international stage. So join us as we unravel the intriguing and scandalous history of the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church. If you find videos like these interesting, you can give this video a thumbs up. The genesis of a controversial faith. The Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church emerged in Jamaica during the 1950s, a period marked by the rising influence of the Rastafarian movement. Founded by charismatic leaders who claimed spiritual descent from Ethiopia's ancient Coptic Christian traditions, the church positioned itself as a holy order with unique interpretations of biblical teachings. Central to their faith was herb, known locally as ganja, which they considered a divine sacrament. Thomas Francis Riley Jr., also known as Brother Love, was a pivotal figure in this burgeoning movement. His fervent leadership and magnetic presence helped the church gain traction among Rastafarians and other disenchanted individuals seeking an alternative to mainstream Christianity. However, Riley had other plans. The church's teachings were deeply rooted in biblical references, such as Psalm 104:14, which mentions God providing herb for the service of man, reinforcing their belief in the herb's sacred status. Building an empire in Jamaica. The church's base of operations was a sprawling compound in White Horses, St. Thomas, known as Coptic Heights. This secluded location provided the perfect cover for their activities, allowing them to cultivate and process large quantities of herb with relative secrecy. By the 1970s, the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church had developed an intricate distribution network, exporting significant amounts of herb to the United States, particularly to Miami. The Miami chapter, led by Brother Isaac, played a crucial role in the church's drug trade, operating out of Star Island, Brother Isaac established vital connections with American supporters who provided financial backing for the church's Jamaican operations. The Miami faction also produced the Coptic Times newspaper, a platform for advocating herb legalization and promoting the church's religious ideology. Herb as a spiritual pillar. For the Coptics, herb was not merely a sacrament, but the cornerstone of their spiritual practice and daily life. Church members, including women and children, were expected to partake in smoking herb as a means of achieving spiritual enlightenment and communion with the divine. This practice, however, brought the church into direct conflict with both Jamaican and US laws. Despite their claims of religious freedom, the church's widespread herb use was perceived by law enforcement agencies as a facade for drug trafficking. This clash between spiritual beliefs and legal constraints set the stage for an intense series of legal battles that would eventually expose the church's criminal activities. A deep dive into operations, cultivation, and distribution. The Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church's operations were sophisticated and well organized, reflecting a high level of planning and execution. Their primary cultivation site, Coptic Heights, was strategically located in the remote hills of White Horses, St. Thomas. This location provided not only seclusion, but also an ideal environment for growing herb. The church utilized advanced agricultural techniques, including hydroponics and controlled environment agriculture, to maximize yield and quality. They established multiple fields and greenhouses to ensure a steady supply of high-grade herb. Their farming operations were so extensive that they had their own processing facilities on site, where the herb was dried, cured, and packaged for distribution. Distribution network. The church's distribution network was as elaborate as its cultivation efforts. The herb cultivated in Jamaica was transported to Miami through a series of covert methods. The church employed a range of tactics to avoid detection, including the use of hidden compartments in boats and aircraft. They developed strong ties with various smugglers and criminal networks, ensuring that their product could reach its destination without interception. The church's Miami chapter, operating out of Star Island, played a crucial role in handling the distribution logistics, often utilizing private airstrips and clandestine dockyards to receive and process the shipments. Financial operations and money laundering. Financially, the church's operations were equally as complex. To launder the proceeds from their drug trade, the church established numerous front businesses. These included agricultural ventures, retail stores, and even real estate holding. The church also used these businesses to funnel money into their charitable activities, thus creating a facade of legitimacy. Donations to local political figures and community projects served not only as a means of gaining political protection, but also as a way to obscure the true source of their income. The church's financial operations were meticulously managed, involving a network of intermediaries and financial experts to ensure the smooth flow of money and avoid detection. Political and social influence. The Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church's influence extended deeply into the political and social fabric of Jamaica. Their significant charitable contributions, including the construction of schools and funding for local infrastructure, earned them substantial goodwill in the community. Politically, their financial support to both the PNP and the JLP created a network of allies who were hesitant to take action against the church. The church's leaders often used their connections to shield themselves from legal repercussions, leveraging their influence to navigate around investigations and raids. This strategic use of power and money allowed the church to maintain its operations for longer than might have been possible without such political and social backing. These connections provided the church with a degree of protection, allowing it to operate with relative impunity despite ongoing investigations into its activities. The church's involvement in local politics further complicated efforts to prosecute its leaders, as many politicians were reluctant to confront an organization that had significantly contributed to their campaigns and community development. The legal backlash. The Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church's operations eventually drew the attention of law enforcement agencies in both Jamaica and the United States. By the late 1970s, the church's large-scale herb operations could no longer be ignored. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, launched an investigation into the church's Miami chapter, leading to a series of raids on their properties. The investigation uncovered a highly organized smuggling network, with evidence of large quantities of herb being transported from Jamaica to Miami, using hidden compartments in boats or aircrafts. The DEA raids led to the seizure of substantial amounts of herb, as well as the arrest of numerous church members involved in the trafficking operations. In Jamaica, multiple police raids on the church's compound at Coptic Heights resulted in the confiscation of additional large quantities of herb and the arrest of several high-ranking members. Despite their efforts to evade capture through political connections and illegal maneuvers, key figures including Brother Love and several senior members were apprehended in 1981. The arrest of Zion Coptic elder Keith Garden, known as Naya to his Jamaican followers, further damaged the church. Soon after, the IRS revoked the church's tax-exempt status and imposed a $3 million lien. The U.S. Customs Service followed with a $15 million penalty for not declaring the marijuana. Riley humorously suggested they'd pay the tax if the government returned the seized goods. The IRS became interested in the Coptics' wealth after the church members spent $910,000 on boats from 1973 to 1977. The church claimed that its income came from substantial investments in Jamaica, including property and businesses. Florida Department of Law Enforcement agent Manny Funes suspected the church was a front for smuggling and played a key role in the government's case. He believed the Coptics were major marijuana exporters and that their smuggling efforts were only slowed down, not stopped. As the government cracked down in 1978 and 1979, Miami Beach residents complained about constant prayer chants and the smell of marijuana from the Coptics' Star Island property. A police raid yielded $91,000 and some marijuana. But public outrage grew, especially after TV footage showed Coptic children using herb. The Dade State Attorney's Office obtained an injunction banning herb use at 43 Star Island. Thomas Riley, now calling himself Brother Love, held press conferences, questioning why the church was targeted for herb use. Clifton Middleton claimed that herb users were a silent majority who would eventually win. However, the Coptics didn't achieve much. The Florida Supreme Court recognized herb use as part of their religious practice, but upheld the local ban, citing public safety concerns. The U.S. Supreme Court later refused to hear their appeal. 2 weeks after the Supreme Court's decision, the Coptics faced more trouble when the boat named Jubilee landed in Maine with 1,263 bales of Colombian herb. Middleton and several Coptics, including 6 fugitives, were arrested. Struggling with legal fees and bail, the Coptics faced another costly setback, with the main incident already costing them over $1 million. The legal proceedings that followed attracted considerable media attention. During the trials, the church's leaders defended their herb use as a religious practice, but the courts were unmoved. Brother Love and others were convicted of drug trafficking and related offenses, receiving lengthy prison sentences. The church's operations in Jamaica were effectively dismantled as a result. The aftermath. The fall of the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church marked a significant chapter in Jamaica's history. While some remember the church for its contributions to the herb legalization movement, its legacy is overshadowed by its criminal activities and the exploitation of religious doctrine. The church's downfall not only tainted the broader Rastafarian movement, but also led to increased scrutiny of religious groups incorporating herb into their practices. So, after all this, former members dispersed, with some reintegrating into mainstream society and others continuing their faith in more discrete groups. The church's impact on Jamaica remains a subject of debate. Some view it as a cautionary tale of religion intertwined with crime, while others see it as a misunderstood movement persecuted for its unconventional beliefs. The Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church's narrative is a complex and controversial chapter in Jamaica's history. Emerging as a spiritual movement rooted in Rastafarian tradition, it evolved into a powerful organization, straddling the boundaries of legality. The church's use of herb as a sacred practice, coupled with its extensive drug operations, ultimately led to its downfall, as law enforcement agencies in Jamaica and the United States dismantled its network. The church's story raises profound questions about religious freedom, the role of religion in society, and the perils of intertwining faith with criminality. Through this exploration, we have uncovered the multifaceted history of the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church, its origins, its rise, its dramatic fall, and the enduring legacy it has left behind. If you found this video interesting or informative, please give it a thumbs up. And if there's anything that you'd like to add, please feel free to do so in the comment section down below. And again, if you haven't yet subscribed to Elite Jamaica, please do so by clicking the subscribe button and clicking the bell icon to turn on notifications. In that way, you will always receive a notification whenever time I upload a new video. Until we meet again here in Elite Jamaica, I just want to say bless. Thank you for watching. Good. Bless. Goodbye.
On an island in the sun, history bright shining young. Highlands tell of days gone by. Elite Jamaica reach for sky. Reggae beats with stories true. Culture rich in every view. From the hills to ocean blue, I'll let show